the very, very few people getting this message. We want to prove to the whole world that the impossible dream can happen.
And you are it. That's right. You're just as much part of it as I am. And we are all in this together. And it's called the Whole Earth game. If you're here, we're talking about, just to make it simpler. Okay, look, it's a very complicated thing we're talking about. We're going to try to take back the Earth, and we're moving through a space and time where this is going to happen according to the Galactic Federation of Light. We are ready to go and ascend into a fifth dimension, and this is going to be where we get to imagine the world that we want to live in. Okay, so use my template as something that you could build upon. Obviously, everybody has their own set of rules and their own way. What is perfect for you is not going to be exactly perfect for me, but I know one thing for sure. If you're a living thing, you're going to need every one of these five things. You're going to need a place to sleep. You're going to need clean water. You're going to need food. And you're going to need energy to do stuff. Now, the question will be to get a new sign, because that's old and wrinkled looking. But we'll get one next time. And so the question now, if you can imagine being either a hammer or the nail, I'm going to give you a second here. Can you imagine being a hammer? Can you imagine being a nail? A nail might be harder to imagine because, a nail, the job of a good nail is to just do nothing. So once you put it down, you just want to leave, just stay put and don't move. Keep that board where it is the entire time the house is alive. That nail is holding on to that board and keeping them together so it doesn't fly off in a stiff wind or whatever. Then here comes fire. Boom, completely. It doesn't matter whether you're a board or a nail, you're just completely disintegrated. So it may not be best to use nails if you're going to be building forward. And that's what I'm talking about. So anyway, remember, so if you're imagining being a nail or a hammer, then you're in the imaginary world, and that gives us the first steps of the Hermetic principles, which are all is mental, all is mind. So if you can imagine yourself as a hammer or nail, you're in the mental universe. So now I'm going to give you some tools, right? So you can build the most, amazing, you know, I'm just giving these ideas because when they came across to me, I just thought if everybody saw this, they would see the same thing I was seeing. They would be able to see the same future, the same way. And so I know that if I give you this information, you're going to be able to make a better decision one way or the other. So it's not going to be bad. Nothing that you get from me is going to be harmful. I promise you. That's my goal. Do no harm. Anyway, so here we are now. Last week was a turning point. Did everybody feel that? Renee, did you feel that last week?
Absolutely, because we had, like we talked about, Bernie coming off tour, and then Cory Booker breaking Strom Thurmond's record on the Senate floor with his filibuster, and then we went into this weekend with massive protests all around the country, and people stood up and came out and said, "Hands off!" Right?
It's interesting. Hands off becomes the thing because we're moving into a hands-on time. It's like, I mean, no matter what we do, we keep getting manipulated into these weird kind of like what we're really trying to get to type of thinking. It's bizarre now. Right. So the barnstorming by AOC and Bernie, mostly about workers' rights, because these things that we held to be pretty standard in terms of our way of thinking about helping other people, everybody to live and to, raise all boats. It seemed to be just out of grasp, but we were getting closer and closer to it. But keep slipping away, keep getting closer, but slipping away. I know that in my life, it felt like they were coming off the 50s, which was a real time of prosperity and affluence, and the movement of real affluence down to the middle class. And then it's been a slow extraction of the affluence from the middle class to the 1% that we see right now. So this has been a long time coming where, then hands on. So now it becomes hands on. So, it's not really, I'm not quite sure if the message got through, but people are angry. You can see this. People are not sitting still in their homes, letting this thing just roll over as we have done. We haven't seen anything like this since the last Trump administration, the Women's March, when they went after the women's right to choose. But that didn't stop them from destroying the women's right to choose. So hands off federal jobs, hands on. Like we need to, but that's not what we're asking for. What I think we're asking for. Now, this is my opinion, and if you like it, give me a thumbs up or give me a like or come my way and help me maybe do more content. In my opinion, what we have to ask for a rehire. And we have to, like, just if you basically had a job before this administration, you have a job after this administration, and we're going to give you a 20% raise, and have to pay you for the time off that you were off, because that these people were sitting in their desk and they were doing work, and work is such that it moves through you. It's something that you work with. It takes time. You develop it. If you're good at what you do, I think that's something to be seen as a high standard. And talk about your meritocracy. A person who has spent the time in the chair doing the work in that particular business or whatever knows what they're doing and knows they're not getting paid enough, but really loves what they do, should be rewarded. Now, look at these are all these people. Like, now, did they go out and buy 2 cups of coffee though? So maybe there was a bump in Starbucks. It's interesting. I was looking at my stock portfolio today too, and I do have a stock portfolio. I have a few shares, and as I was driving and doing some service, I've been stashing money, and I've done okay, and things are moving up, and I'm happy to say that the areas that I felt were going to be strong were strong, and the ones that I thought were going to be strong didn't get so strong. So I got some winners and I got some not so big winners, but that's the way it works. Now, to know if you're one of the people who are investing in things, just hold on tight. Do hold on tight. Do not do anything knee jerk or anything triggered by these events. Everyone tells us is the same. If I looked through some of these advice columns as well, you might want to buy some bonds and put them in your portfolio because they are long term, and they do tend to make a bit of a profit, but they don't make a lot. So you're not going to be really retiring on long term bonds, but you're not going to lose money with bonds. So that's something to consider. Now, moving forward, buy Reclaim Threads. If you really want to see some great looking clothes, head on over to reclaimthreads.com and see some great things. She's got, my daughter Emma has some new clothes coming out this season. So, spend a lot, and mention that you saw them on these clothes on last week on WholEarth. Okay, next. So I wanted to bring back this thing called blessed unrest, because what we found out through the cabal, the white hat cabal of Amy Lovins and L. Hunter Lovins and Paul Hawken, he's in the white hat cabal. He wrote a book about the history of movements, social movements, and the history of restoring grace, justice, and the beauty to the world. And so in this book, we lay out a very compelling argument as to how movements take a little bit of time, but how, a few men in the back room, a few men and women in the back room can change everything. I mean, Rachel Carson's wrote a book that set people on fire for the new green movement and protecting species. And another company that I work with is Rincon Vitova. We don't have one of their things, but rinconvitova.com uses predatory insects instead of pesticides to combat the farmers, having success. Because without help, it is almost impossible to get the food and the yields that we need. So we need to have, help from our pharmaceutical and scientific friends. Anyway, so in the book we call The Blessed Unrest, as he said, the largest movement ever. But what happened in this last time? Well, thank you. In this last time, we got bamboozled again. They've been really doing this to us, and they have it so well organized that we don't even check it out anymore. But we have a lot of evidence seeing that we've been gerrymandered, and this idea of disallowing votes and what is it called? Challenging a vote is enough to put people, and so in this case, this is what they did. Before it was a hanging Chad thing, before it was this, before it was that. I mean, there's always some small thing. So if we don't get a landslide, we can't seem to win if we don't get 60 or 70%, which is almost impossible to do. So that's kind of what we're up against. We're up against doing the impossible again, and we have to because there's no other way. Now, so at the same time, you want to have both sides against the middle, right? Just in case. So if we go into this complete destruction of our economy, what do you think will be there to replace it? Well, Gessera, Nacera, these are the two resets, right? When we back, some kind of like gold back standard or silver back standard, or go back to some, and we just, go and admit fiat currency is not going to work. We're going to go with a debt jubilee. What we're hoping for is the global debt jubilee. Okay, if we do that, then we can physically build the whole system, the spaceship Earth that I'm talking about, that Bucky Fuller is talking about, that you can find out more about in my book, Play Whole Earth Game. And you can go to playwholeearthgame.org and read more about basically the same thing. And then if you can go to Whole Earth Industries, that's more in the lines of the book, and we're getting ready to build out the consultations and products and services that go in those areas. I'd like to set up a marketplace where you can come and bring your reclaimed material and sell it on the open market right there. And perhaps we can be a middleman in a situation. If you have a barn or some wood or something that can be used in another situation, we would like to maybe hook you up with someone who needs that material, and we can take a small fee for that. But let's get on to bigger and better things as we get forward. So we had a big outpour. You got any more pictures about the crowds on the streets? Yeah, everywhere, every sound. They said there were 1,200, but I think there was 1,500 that actually counted up in the last. And so people took it, hands off, okay, whatever. I guess it doesn't really matter what you say as long as you're angry enough. You get the picture, but then we realize, okay, the whole thing is a complete and total, lie, and needs to be reorganized so my solution to this problem is 120%. And 120% is the number of 5 things. If 5 things add up to make a whole system, then like in the belly there, you have 5 elements working together to make one whole person. Okay. And 5 elements come together, and that is 120%. And I believe that for the fact that a woman can give birth makes her at least 120%. But I think women give way more than 120%. I also think if you really want to simplify it, think of men as only able to give 100%. If we did everything right, which is almost impossible because we're male, but 100% would be about the best we could do. Women, because they give birth, start at 120%. And now, if we really start to look at who's equal, they need more money. So everything's based on, if you're birthing the idea, if you're bringing forward a new life or a new thing, you should be compensated 120%. How about that? So simple, right? If you're working for another person, then you should be compensated, but for your time and for your effort, but not necessarily for the extra, of innovating something brand new, something that hasn't been created before, some new way. So that's where I come in, because that's what I'm doing. I'm just putting together a new recipe, saying that, okay, 5 things for every living thing. That's simplifies it, makes it so that everyone can understand just how easy it is to live on one whole earth. Now, we ain't there yet, so we have to come back and get on one whole earth, and we might need to take it back. So what I'm going to end up doing is bringing one whole earth with me to the next dimension. And you can too. See, it's not just for me, but I'm, glad to share it with you, because that's the other part of the game. It's a game of trust and sharing. I can't do it by myself. I have to give it to another person. That makes me also trace magistus. Trace magic is when you have the feeling that you are one with the universe. That's just a magic feeling. You're never alone. You're just doing the thing you're supposed to do. You're putting one foot in front of the next. You're just, living and traveling without harm. And then you help somebody else. That's the big idea. What's the big idea? That's the big idea. Large dreams inspire. Think of the biggest idea you can think of. Now double it. And go back and throw out all those assumptions and throw out all those rules of thumb and start with a clean sheet. And that's another Amory Lovins and L. Hunter Lovins trick I want to talk with her about coming up in some further episode. We want to get the details of how to do collaborative design charrettes using the 17 principles of natural capitalism, the 17 principles of design collaboration. So we're on to some new things. First, we got to break it, and then we're going to build it back better. So what else we got? What else did I miss, Renee?
Can we do a few comments from our TikTok stream?
We have a TikTok stream?
Yes.
No way.
Yes. So
I'm
Lulu.
so excited. Thank you so much if you're coming in from TikTok or wherever, Blue Sky. Please welcome. And yes, let's take a question or two.
Lulu said that she or he, I don't know, was in the Atlanta Hands Off, and that it was inspiring and gives us hope for humanity. So that's pretty cool that somebody was there. And someone else said that they live in LA and they loved seeing the energy. So I think that means for the protest, I'm pretty sure. And I just wanted to, where you are, you're in Ventura, and there was a Hands Off in LA, correct? So I think that's what they're talking about.
I'm sure we had Hands Off in Ventura too. I didn't get out to it, but Ventura is very vocal. We usually gather a big crowd on such things like this. it's one of those moments you're gonna want to say, where were you that day?
Right.
And this is what it is. So, on April 5th, 4/5/25, we went through a massive portal, and I mean, all kinds of things are adding up in the galaxy. They're adding up in the astronomy. I mean, this is really crucial times, and the waking up on this such level. So, it was prophesied that there was going to be some big event that would get people to, I guess, harmonize or remember like where you were on this day. And if you were out there pounding the pavement, my hats are off to you. You have created the thing that we need moving forward. You're right on. That was a great day. What a great. Now, how does it move forward? How do we take this moving forward? Well, is everybody registered to vote? Now they're going to make it tougher and tougher to vote. Probably not in California, but in other parts of the country, they're going to make it more and more difficult to vote. This is the other thing. No more voting by proxy. You're going to have to go and show up. You can't do mail-in ballots. I mean, all these kinds of things to make it difficult. Now, we've been trying on the Democratic side, I guess, or the large D Democratic side, is to make it easy for everyone to vote. And just should have a day off, and people should be able to really look at the object, issues, and really go for it. So maybe now you all will start looking more and deeply into your ballot, because I mean, they're going to throw out 25% just because that's what they do. So we got to be ready for that. Unfortunately, we got to double. We have to do twice the work for half the fun, as we always have done. Anything else out there?
Yeah, so Johnny wanted to know, what is the 17 principle you mentioned earlier?
Well, the 17 principles came from Rocky Mountain Institute, and it's going to be left for another discussion. But basically, what we do is we start with a clean sheet, and we start with problems that are almost impossible to begin with. We wouldn't take on a problem that was not almost impossible. It wouldn't be fun otherwise. So, and as we get into that more, so you'll sign up and go ahead and just subscribe and hit the notification button, and we'll let you know when that one is coming up. But we'll go deeper into that. That's something I really want to talk about with L. Hunter Lovins. But basically, we work through a problem 2 or 3 times, always coming back to the idea of what's the best way to get the best results. And if we apply whole systems thinking to those problems, we're going to get a better result. So see if I'm right. Keep coming back.
Okay, so Nan said, what's the point of democracy voting when it's rigged?
It's going to be, that's probably a good question. But if you don't vote, we don't have a choice anyway. So if we do vote and then we know that it's rigged, and then we have to go in and fix it. I mean, this is the way we fix a voter, society. But we can't lose it. We're so close. We're on the brink. We should have, had we had Kamala Harris, there was going to be a lot more violence. There was a lot of violence. And so for some reason, we're afraid of domestic violence. That's the thing that really, in the dark, behind the shadows of our government, there's always these other features. In this case, I mean, they really don't want to have, because it's really bad for business. I think that's what we were thinking. But you see, the Trump folks aren't playing by any of those rules. They have no rule book. And Trump is like the stupidest person on the planet, and he's really in charge. And this is what happens when a really stupid, completely short-sighted person is in charge. And Elon Musk is in the same situation. I mean, just for power. He's doing it just because he has the power, not for any real reason. There's no, I mean, this is that same place. Okay, I always thought, what if Hitler wasn't the evil guy? What if he turned out not to be the evil guy? What if he just embraced the Jewish folks and they created a whole new utopic Germany. Wouldn't that have been something? See, because I mean that in the game of the WholEarth game and in the game of spirituality, in the game of universal understanding, the thing this is it's love and forgiveness is always the end of the game. So as however far you want to step away from that notion is it however far it's going to take to get back to that notion. So we got love and forgiveness, and that's the only way there is, even though it just looks so completely stupid, right? That looks stupid, right? That we should just do that, but that's that's the hardest thing we have to do. If you believe in that kind of thing. So it's not necessarily a religious thing. It's about a universal thing. It's about the Tao of going to the way, right? We have to follow the way. There's no other way. You just really can't argue with it. There's only one way to go. It has to be through love and forgiveness. It has to be through love and forgiveness. The way is through love and forgiveness. So, see on the other side, maybe. What else you got, Renee? Anybody else?
Yeah, Lolly said that expat here living in New Zealand. Why don't Americans just leave? It's so much better in so many other places in the world.
Well, there's no, because I wish there wasn't a way. I wish we could throw everything else away. No such thing as a way, right? Lolly, come on. Oh, expat. Well, New Zealand's a great spot, and that is. It's just like paradise there. But, here we are. This is where we are. So wherever you go, there you are. What? That was from Mad Max, Beyond Thunderdome or something like that. But great line. I love that line. It's no matter where you go, there you are, because we have to bring it here. This is where it becomes, it comes from the heart. It comes from the mind. We have to imagine it. No matter where you are, right? Where you are, Renee, is not where I'm
Yep.
at.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to imagine the best possible place you are where you are.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
It's going to be that dumb and simple. There's no other way around it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that's the thing, because the end results of all of the work that Amory Lovins has done and natural capitalist solutions have all go to the same thing. If you go green, you go rich. If you go big, you go green. You go green, you go green is where the money's at. And it's not the kind of money that Elon likes and Trump likes. It's the long-term kind of money. It's the one where we all get a chance to breathe because the Amazon's working good, right? With all the money in the world, I would be buying off the polluters and asking them to stop and paying them to stop polluting. I'd be making clean water for everyone to have a clean water. I'd be making sure everybody had something to eat, make sure that everybody had something to live in that didn't necessarily look like a new tank. I don't want to live in, the Tesla name is going to get so wrapped up. Do you really want to live in anything Tesla? It's not even Tesla. It's not his name, man. We should call it Nikola. Yeah, I will live in a Nikola Tesla type of thing, but I can't be living in anything to do with Elon Musk. He's a thief. So very interesting times.
Yeah. So we had
Got time for one
earlier.
more. Got
Yeah,
one more.
we had 2 or 3 because somebody said it a little bit earlier and I didn't get it on. But I see other people now mentioning Elon Musk, and I remember someone said, with all his money, he couldn't win in Germany or Wisconsin. What do you make of that? And that's a good point. Like, so Elon's been spending millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to try to buy certain votes in elections here and abroad, and so far he hasn't been too successful. It's almost like people don't like him, even though he has all that money.
No, well, here's the thing. Okay, so we really want to see this thing that happened that would probably never happen, and that would be for Elon Musk to grow a conscience. and do something like, okay, we're going to make sure, okay, first, before we go anywhere else, we're going to make sure everybody's got a place to sleep tonight. On me, everybody on me. Whoa, cheesehead, or her. Are you got a place to sleep? You got a place to sleep? You got a place? You got a place? Everybody. That's the thing. I mean, we could have this world back for $3 trillion. I'm sure we could find ways. So that would be how you do it. Well, then a debt jubilee. I mean, I thought Trump was going to use that in his last incarnation as president. I thought he was going to use the Nasara law and give everybody a tax break. Give everybody a tax break. I mean, not just him. I thought he was going to lose it. I thought he was going to just lose it and just give everybody a free out so he could get out, you see, because he, I don't know. He really doesn't see debt the way we see debt. He likes to go into deep debt, and he likes to be bankrupt, and he doesn't really care about making money. He likes you to think that he's making money, but he's really not a good money maker. And so he's not really the guy we want in charge of our country, but he's not working for us. He's obviously working for Vladimir Putin. We've become, been taken over by Russia.
Yeah, yeah, that's
maniac
true. Yeah, he's bought by Russia somehow.
South African maniac, power hungry person. So you never know. I mean, we've been taken over by the pirates. Now, if you want to go back and read Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth, and you can read, Buckminster Fuller's prediction of how the pirates had taken over our planet and were, racing us, against, into the, they don't have any idea how to sail a planet. First, you start by taking care of everything on it. Bam. See, now that's the big moment in time. This is when we really step forward. The last incarnation was the time when we found this to be true on North America. And then before that, we found it to be true in South America. And before that, we found it to be true on the plains of Giza. And before that, we found it to be true in Indonesia and Asia and so forth. I mean, there's times when we can physically move to the level of taking care of this planet and understanding that this is just so easy. If we do nothing, we can just everybody gets a place to sleep and eat. One of the theories is that the Amazon was planted by our ancestors for the benefit of us. Imagine if the Amazon was planted by us for us, our future selves. What if we were consumed now, instead of the idea of destroying this planet with nuclear weapons and so forth? What if we were consumed with the idea of building it back for every living thing? And on that note, I'll see you next time.
Oh, do we have time for one more?
Well, okay.
Okay, just one more.
It'll be good.
Yeah, so Henry said Elon Musk has never invented a thing. He's actually a dullard. What do you think?
I agree with you.
Okay, thank you, Henry.
On that
Thank
note,
you.
we're good to go. We'll see you next.
One of the very, very few people getting this message. We want to prove to the whole world that the impossible dream